Don't overdo it, but on the count of 3...
Yes! Whoa, 100 episodes! Come on, you beauty!
Have you got that?
Heather doesn't have to make a noise when she's eating.
The Wiggly Podcast, bringing your garden to life.
We are sitting on the Wiggly sofa on the 100th episode of the Wiggly Podcast. A round of applause, I think, darling.
Hey! Excellent.
Self-congratulation is an ugly trait, but today I am Heather, like most other days, really. and this is...
Richard.
Unfortunately, I'm still Farmer Phil.
And we have an adjudicator with us today, a quite serious adjudicator whose background is in accounts and stuff like that. It's Sam.
Hello.
Why are you here, Sam?
We are reviewing the chocolate rating.
We're sat with 7 different chocolate samples.
And I can smell it.
And we are going to dedicate this show to chocolate. I don't know why. It's your idea, wasn't it, Rich?
No. No, it's never been my idea. Nothing to do with chocolate. No, it's completely your idea.
I do think it's a serious matter. And as you know, Pod Chef has asked us to rethink our chocolate rating on the basis of ethics.
So Rich and I want to make it into a beer rating.
No. What we're going to do is I'm going to go off and make us some hot chocolate, and then we're going to taste the chocolates, hear a little bit from Richard and from Farmer Phil about the ethics of food and chocolate in particular. And we have an adjudicator here who's going to rate the chocolate that we've got here on the previous chocolate rating. And once we've then rated the chocolate rating on that chocolate rating, we're going to design the new chocolate rating. So, we'll get on with the show. I'll go make us a cup of hot chocolate to celebrate, and you all get your taste buds in order. In the meantime, can I have, please, a Richard Nugget?
Richard Nugget. I'll tell you what, the other day I was watering the veggie patch, and for the sake of ease, I've got a big header tank at the top of the garden. We've got this bank, so it's all kind of terraced the veggie patch. It works beautifully, so you can fill up these tanks when we have rain off the roofs of the sheds. And I stick a little hose pipe in there and just siphon it, so quite literally suck it. Out comes the water. And then I precariously perch the end of the hose on a stake that's supporting my runner beans. And what I noticed that one of the leaves kept flicking into the water spout and spraying the water across the top of the vines. Great. Completely natural sprinkler system. So I tell you what, if you could do that, you can work out a way of positioning your hose above your runner beans, and then just do it on the edge of a leaf, so that leaf just kind of hits it and just keeps knocking back and back and back. You've got this great little sprinkler. Fantastic.
Phenomenal.
What is he on?
I'm going to make the hot chocolate.
I worked a treat. It did.
That's brilliant.
People won't know. That's definitely off the wall sprinkler system.
Definitely.
Like that. It's great.
According to Italian researchers, women who eat chocolate regularly have a better sex life than those who deny themselves the treat.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, that's interesting. There might be something in that, you know.
Willy Wonka says that...
Excuse me, this looks like some cutting-edge research going on here.
Willy Wonka says that chocolate is addictive among women. They got a psychologist to test it, and it was proven by Willy Wonka's chocolate factory that that's true.
Oh, well, there you are then.
Yeah. So we've got some hot chocolate. So we're getting ready for the serious business of the day.
This is a very tasty hot chocolate. What is this?
This is Marks and Spencer's hot chocolate.
Right.
But just before we go to the serious business, Farmer Phil, could I have a farming nugget, please?
You could have a farming nugget. It is a description oft used in Herefordshire referring to machinery, but it can refer to other things. It was going when it stopped, as a response to being asked, does it work?
I was thinking more of a practical, helpful tip, Phil.
Well, I think that's a nice sort of truism.
It's entertaining anyway.
Right, on to the serious business of the chocolate tasting. So please don your blindfolds. As you probably noticed.
Excellent. These are interesting blindfolds, Ed.
Yeah.
Where do you get these? Where do you get the inspiration for these blindfolds? The deep south.
Let me, Phil.
So we're just putting on our paper bags on top of our head.
The phrase double bagger comes to mind, eh, Rich?
What are you got an IKEA bag on your head for? I mean, of all the things. Nice little blindfold. No, bag.
The thing is, I thought about it, and I've got a couple of
bag
them
over your head.
blindfolds from the airlines.
Oh, golly, I could do this. There should be a warning on these bags. Do not put over your head. Children listening everywhere, don't
That
follow.
might have really defeated the object.
The mouth hole. Christ. Let's go. Let's go and rob a bank. Get bagged up and let's go.
And Sam, if you'd like to take over the podcast now to start the tasting.
Right, well, we start with number 1. We've got 7.
The chocolate is being displayed on the laser display board, but here for listeners at home is the mystery voice.
The team are tasting Cadbury. The team are tasting Cadbury.
Right, so if I could have a score from the existing chocolate rating.
That's very nice.
I don't
Have.
like it. I think it is
Milk chocolate.
sweet.
I recognise it.
Galaxy.
No, that's not a Galaxy.
Don't you think so?
No way.
No.
That's Cadbury's.
Oh.
So I award the Cadbury's that I think is Cadbury's
Isn't
a
Cadbury's
rating
Galaxy? Isn't
of
Gal-
Cadbury's.
Isn't Galaxy?
To me, that's just sugar. What do you think?
The Wiggly Podcast. Let your iPod bloom.
So now we've had a little bit of a chocolate fix. We've had a slurp of our chocolate drink and we've had a taste of what I believe could have been Cadbury's that we've rated. I think we should have a little chat about why the heck we're doing this and a bit about the ethics of chocolate. Podchef emailed us, as you probably know, dear listener, and if you're new, you won't know, but we have a chocolate rating for things that we need to judge, like books. One is Hershey's, because it's just gross, isn't it? Is there any chocolate in Hershey's?
I'm not sure, but it is disgusting. I remember tasting a bar once in the good old US of A, and that was all it took.
Yeah.
One little taste. This is vile, in the bin.
Absolutely. Phil, do you like it? No, terrible. We know that's awful. The second is Nestle, because we just decided that they weren't that good and it didn't taste that good and ethically it wasn't that good.
Right.
Third was Cadbury's, because it's okay. Fourth was Galaxy, because it's really nice. But fifth and top of the league is Milka, because Milka comes in a purple wrapper and tastes delicious. So then we had an email in from Podchef who said, Heather, this is an intervention. I know how addicted to Milka you are, dear heart, but you must end your fondness of it, here and now. You must put your money where your Milka is. You see, the Milka brand is owned by Kraft, a company whose illegal labelling practices, anti-consumer attitudes, untested genetic modification experiments in their products, and support for illegal child labour through the sources of its cocoa has made it one of the largest and most corrupt food corporations on the planet. To aid you in your transition to a more wholesome brand of chocolate for your fabulous chocolate rating, I've sent you a gift, which we've got here, Adjudicator.
We do. We have a nice bar of Divine.
I know you have mentioned green and blacks before. It's a nice chocky, but they have some lofty goals. I'm not sure their fair trade is as fair as some, but they are out there trying despite of their now global status. They're owned by Cadbury's. He says that the UK-based company Divine is doing some amazing things in their realm of fair trade chocolate and third world development. He's actually never tried it before, so let him know how it is. And Rich, you've got some information about Divine there, I think.
Yes. Well, I went on a bit of a mission yesterday to try and find some gen about which chocolate is ethically produced, because not being a particularly big fan of chocolate, I found a nice thing here from the labourrights.org site entitled Your Valentine's Day Chocolate, the Sweet and the Bitter. So it lists the bitter, obviously the companies that aren't practising ethical production and those that are. With Hershey's, oddly, it seems that whilst they manufacture a disgusting tasting product, they're also at the top of what these guys consider bitter in terms of ethical production, and they've completely declined any transparency so far as signing up to a protocol to ensure that child labour isn't involved in cocoa production and whatnot. Mars are second in terms of bitter. Concludes with their comments about Mars. The company has committed small amounts of money to various NGO initiatives, including programs by the International Cocoa Initiative and Winrock International, but has failed to respond to numerous requests for a disclosure of the actual dollar amount committed to all of these projects. So again, perhaps their claims to doing the right thing are completely superficial. And Nestle are third bitter. Now we know why Nestle have been boycotted for several years, and interestingly, I wondered yesterday how long has it been since Nestle were initially boycotted. I found a great feature in Epigram. Now, this is an article from I think it's Bristol University's newspaper, and it says here the Nestle boycott began in 1977 as a response to Nestle's marketing of baby milk substitute to third world mothers. So 1977, and of course it's still going on now. People.
So for those listeners who don't
avoiding
remember,
Nestle products.
What was the story?
What Nestle were doing, in effect, was promoting powdered baby milk as opposed to natural breastfeeding.
But why would that be a major problem?
Well, it cites that as being a major problem here for one of the main reasons being that you mix contaminated water with the powder. According to UNICEF, that causes at least 1.3 million babies' deaths each year.
Because I remember the story as being that, and this might not be completely accurate, but I remember it being that they gave you baby milk initially, and so your breast milk dried up, and then there was a price to the milk. So actually folk were spending a major part of their income on powdered baby milk rather than sustaining themselves.
Right, of course. It also mentions that Nestle, who currently possess 40% of the baby milk market, is still one of the biggest sources of the violations of the international code. Nestle have, in the last couple of years, violated the international code in Slovakia, China, South Africa, Lithuania, Indonesia, and the list goes on.
But the thing is, though, you can find ethical problems in most businesses, can't you? And Podchef's point about us trying to do our chocolate rating on ethics. What do you think, Farmer Phil?
I agree with you. I think that you'd be hard-pushed to find a company that is ethically perfect, because most of what we do has compromise in it somewhere. But having said that, I'm most interested to hear what Rich comes up with at the other end of his list, because if there are companies that are ethically better than the rest of them and produce, in this case, a chocolate which is yummy at a price which is acceptable, then I see no reason for that not to be the product of choice. Ethics isn't everything, as you rightly say, but if you can combine it with the rest of the things that make a good product, then why not?
Yeah, it is an interesting one, but I think it would appear that a lot of the problems with chocolate production are the fact that child labour is involved in harvesting cocoa. If you thought about it, I suppose, would you want to buy something from Wiggly Wigglers where Monty has been press-ganged into making? You probably wouldn't, would you? So,
how do you think I'm getting to do the podcast? Do you think I'd pay him? I don't think so.
Also, Rich, that's quite an interesting point, because a lot of these things are much more complicated. So you say child labour, but then when you actually... I'm not saying that this is necessarily the case, but there are cases where children work because their families are so poor that the income that the children earn goes into the whole pot to make life more tolerable for the family.
Yeah,
so you take away the child's income and life is actually worse than if the child was working. These things are rarely simple. Therefore, the agency who verifies the ethical standards of the company, it's important that that agency itself takes the complete view, because otherwise, there are things that go on in other countries which to you and me are abhorrent, but their priorities are different.
There's a thing called ethiscore.org, and it's the Ethical Consumer Magazine online shopper's guide. And so what it does is it gives a lot of reports and rates different foods and different items that you can buy on the basis of ethics. So to me that sounds fantastic, fan-dabby-dozy. I can go there and choose the most ethical. So I've been to that website to look at the chocolate rating, funnily enough. And right near the top of the list is Divine Fair Trade chocolate, because it's fair trade, it goes through its supply chain policy, environmental reporting is second to none. But above Divine is a company called Plough Foods, and they have exactly the same rating in terms of environment reporting, supply chain policy, etc., but they're higher on the list because they're a vegan company.
Really?
Now, does that make them more ethical?
Difficult one, isn't it?
Well, not in my mind. Not in my mind, it doesn't.
No, it doesn't.
That's what I mean.
For me, it doesn't. No, I don't think veganism is more ethical than being a full-blooded carnivore.
So it seems to me, with every single argument, there's more complications. Your point to me wasn't it, that you shouldn't boycott one product?
Yeah, certainly. But I think as a thinking society, what is important is that we just consider what we eat and perhaps where things come from.
Right, should we get on with a little bit more chocolate? Because I want some more. What a great show. 100th episode. Put the paper bags on our head. Can everyone hear the paper bags? They're going over because San is about to deliver chocolate tasting number 2.
Number 2, Phil.
Hey, thank you.
Rich.
Thank you very much.
I'm going to give her hers last, being the connoisseur. I don't want her influencing everyone else's
Right, well, hurry up then.
decision.
The team are tasting green and black. The team are tasting green and black.
That's quite creamy, that.
Oh,
That's a whole new
that's
sound
lovely.
effect coming from inside this bag.
Oh.
It's quite nice.
So, Phil,
Yeah,
how would you rate that
I
one?
think that was all right. I'd rate that a Galaxy again. I'm not sure it isn't Galaxy anyway. I think I recognise it as Galaxy, but anyway, I might be wrong.
Not quite so obviously milk chocolatey there, was it?
So, Rich,
I like that. It's quite nice. There's a bit more of a twang to it,
a rating from Rich.
but I don't know.
You can come out now, Rich.
Can I? Okay.
Paper bags off!
Yeah, it's quite nice. But 3, Galaxy. Yeah.
Galaxy's
Cadbury,
4.
even.
Cadbury. Have.
No, it's Michael.
Now, Michael.
Right, Michael's silent, but he gives it a 4. Now, I say that was green and black, so I would give it a Milka.
I think I'd describe the first one as
Twang to it.
quaffing
Red-
chocolate.
Hats on, everybody.
I prefer the first one, I think. It's more... Sorry.
Don't you think, Rich?
More chocolate.
The first one was a quaffing chocolate.
It was. Yeah, it was a sit down and scoff the whole...
To be
There you
guzzled.
go.
Isn't that what you're supposed to do with chocolate anyway?
Hands
Yeah.
out, Rich.
Scoff the whole lot. Cute.
Now that's a better class of chocolate.
The team are tasting Galaxy. The team are tasting Galaxy.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, it's very nice. That's my favourite so far.
Yep, and mine.
That's very tasty.
Okay, Phil.
I would give that a Milka. I entirely like that.
Rich.
Yeah, Milka. I think that's very good.
I think Heather's in some sort of emotional problem.
Oh, it'll take a while to get to Hev. Michael. And Milka 5?
I think they started a long time ago.
She sat there with a paper bag on her head, moaning and swaying. I'm sure, actually, there must be one of those southern sayings which appertains to Heather at this moment. I can't come up with it.
Let's go.
Milker.
Hats on. And Rich.
Oh, right. The bag on thinking.
The team are tasting Pembertons. The team are tasting Pembertons.
It's
That's
a lot
pretty good
quieter
too.
response.
I'm not so keen on that one.
Oh. Oh.
Oh dear.
I don't like that one.
That's horrible.
It's a bit poor.
It's salty.
I think it's got to be a Cadbury. I wasn't so keen on that.
No, it's a bit bland.
Oh dear,
Oh, right,
Heather's
Heather's
spat it
even
out.
taken
It must be bad.
I'm sorry, but after that,
Wing it across the room. Oh, there you do.
that's gross.
Rich.
I don't like that then. No, it's only one, I think. Yeah, whatever that would
Oh
be.
dear, right out.
It's kind of Hershey. No,
Hershey.
actually, no, it's not as grim as Hershey. That's floor scraping.
A Nestle.
Two, a Nestle, yeah.
Michael.
The longer it was in your mouth, the less happy you were. It was quite nice at first attempt, but now there's an awful aftertaste. I go for 2.
Hershey's.
Yeah, golly. Imagine being the manufacturer of that. And
I don't know
noticing
what it
someone-
was.
Noticing a chocolate lever had extracted it from their mouth and
Yeah.
launched it in the
Don
bin.
your hats.
That wasn't one I recognised either.
No, all right.
Horrible.
Thank you, kind madam.
That's no problem.
The team are tasting divine. The team are tasting divine.
That's nice.
Oh,
It's quite a nice one.
this is the best podcast we've ever made.
I'd have got a vaguely toffee texture and taste
Yeah,
to it as well.
that's a chocolate that improves.
I got to give that a galaxy, I think, Sam.
A galaxy. Rich.
I'd say, Galaxy, yeah.
Michael.
Cadbury at 3, I'm sorry. I can see where you're going with Galaxy, but they're Cadbury.
Milker.
I get the feeling you're not very
Seems to
fussy
be
at all.
a bit all or nothing in Heather's world.
You're very fickle, aren't you, Hev? I've noticed this. So for someone that's completely into a milker, we've got 3 milkers, 3 different types of jockey that are up there with milker. So
Could
The
be a
question
milker
is,
there.
do you think you've eaten Milker?
No. I don't think I have.
I think I've eaten Milker, but it's which was Galaxy and which was Milker.
yeah.
Have we got? How many have we got left?
2 left. Don your hats.
This is brilliant, Michael. I mean it. You're going to have some editing, but it's corking.
Thank you
Yeah.
very much.
The team are tasting Milker. The team are tasting Milker.
Ah, I know what this one is.
It's horrible. It's very odd.
I know exactly what this is.
Phil.
Well, I think I can only really give that one a Cadbury, I think. It's all right. I could guzzle that, but it's not remarkable, or not remarkably good in my mind.
Rich.
I think that's, probably a Nestle.
Michael.
My taste buds tell me that the hint of praline gives it away. That was Milker, but I rate it as... it's not a good praline, it's a very bad praline. Therefore, 3.
I thought it was Milker.
There's no way that was Milker. No way.
Sorry.
That was Galaxy, and I rate it as a Nestle.
The Wiggly Podcast. Let your iPod bloom.
Give us a Richard Nugget.
Richard Nugget, something completely chocolate unrelated.
Yes.
Okay, a neat trick for all you hen lovers, and this applies to you as well. you got a couple of chickens. I went out this morning, and there's when I rebuilt the hen house, I was cutting lots of bits and bobs and pieces, and I left them lying around, some of them, and of course I've moved the chicken run
The
around.
hens?
No, the bits and bobs from the chicken house.
Right.
And so I left a few bits and bobs lying around on the floor. This morning I went out there, and there was a piece of lying under the grass that the chickens were all scratched and revealed. And I lifted it over, turned it over, and there are all these big mat of field slugs underneath it. So I lifted it over and I went, and the cockerel comes down, because he leads the way, you know, he's a real gentleman. He leads the way, and then he looks at things, and then he sort of makes his little encouraging noises, and the hens trundle their way across there, and they scoffed all these slugs and whatnot that had just been revealed under this log. So I reckon if you've got chickens, if you just kind of leave things lying about in their runs, chances are slugs and snails, all sorts of grubs will probably clamber underneath those logs, and when you go out there in the morning, what a great little treat to start the chicken's day.
I love it. Can you do that on a field scale, Farmer Phil?
I don't think Phil's got any small.
More chocolate, darlings?
Last and final chocolate.
Hats on.
The team are tasting lint. The team are tasting lint.
Oh,
Rating.
It's pretty good. It's obviously a fine chocolate, but
I quite like that.
The
That is
taste
nice.
wasn't as I didn't like as much as the previous one. I'll give that a Galaxy.
That is nice.
Rich.
Not quite as nice as my fave ones, but it's definitely better than that minging number that we've just tried.
There's a good word, isn't it? We like that word.
I'd say Galaxy, yeah.
Michael.
No, that was the chocolate we have at home. That was lint, if I'm not mistaken. I give that Milka.
That was Milka chocolate, the best chocolate that there is, and that is rated Milka because it was Milka.
I don't think it was Milka. I tend to agree with Michael, actually. I think
Got
it
to be Milka because that's just lovely.
was probably lint.
But I think they were all Milka except that one I put in the bin and the other one.
The results. There is a new Milka,
Oh no!
and
It
it is
can't
not
be.
Milka.
Right.
The connoisseur of chocolate has made a couple of errors.
Oh no!
Oh dear.
Unfortunately, your final tasting was indeed lint.
Oh, really?
And
Michael knows his stuff.
you've also given Milka a Nestle rating.
Oh, there you go. It was rancid. As I have said. You see, it's purely because, like Michael said, when you're up on the top of a mountain, you're feasting on Milka. You've got no other choice. You think it's nice.
I think somebody I know is about to go to the top of the mountain to jump off it.
That's terrible. Well, that's good, but that's awful. But oh,
There you are.
So which one came out on
Doesn't
top
that-
then, Sam?
The top chocolate of the day was Galaxy with 20. You all scored it as Milka.
Good Lord.
no
Closely
way.
followed by Lint with 18. Then Green and Blacks, which is joint with Divine.
Oh, that's not too bad.
Then
Not too bad. We can
Cadbury's.
live with that.
Then Milka, and then Pemberton's.
Well, I'd say that's put a cat among the pigeons, Rich, eh?
I reckon.
The chocolate connoisseur has got herself in a complete flummox now.
Total
'cause
pickle. But in many respects, it's better because you were worried that you might have to stop eating Milka off the back of the fact that it's perhaps not as ethically sourced as it might be.
But
Now,
we've
you don't have
just-
to worry because not only
I
is it
think
not
the
ethically
adjudicators
sourced,
got
but it
it
tastes
wrong.
like shit.
We've just chosen
No!
the second least ethical chocolate as the
How do you have
best.
seen
Yeah.
the adjudicator's face when you told me that Milka scored a 2?
But Galaxy scoring
Galaxy, you all scored as a Milka.
It is nice, Galaxy, isn't it?
I'm devistated.
Yeah.
Would you like another piece of Galaxy to test?
Yeah, I don't like it.
You love it, it's a Milka.
Right. So
Milka is out.
what's the? So we have. What are we going to do now? Right, I'm going to open the
can't
champagne.
Believe
So
that.
much better. Now, this is my kind of thing.
Right, ready? Right, despite the chocolate rating going completely pear-shaped, you will know, dear listener, that we are in the science category. So we take these things seriously. We've done the complete chocolate rating, scientifically proven that Galaxy is best. It's complete rubbish because I am an artist. And I think that we should redo the whole thing because poor old Milka's in the bin. But never mind, let's have some vintage champagne to celebrate Wiggly Wiggler's 100th.
Oh no! Don't shake the bottle!
I shook it. Bottle!
It's going straight.
Our 100th episode! Here we go!
Oh, I got a cop for the cork then, Hev. I just want to put my hands in front of my face, otherwise I'd be blind.
I wasn't aiming for you.
No, it recoiled off the roof.
Not
It's
directly.
always a high-risk thing to let Heather
Thank
loose
you
with
very
a bottle
much.
of
Look at
wine.
Just
on.
before
Now,
we
this is
taste
so
this
much better than that minging old chocolate.
vintage champagne, can we have a Farmer Phil nugget?
A Farmer Phil nugget. Well, a good friend of mine and ex-neighbour always used to say at the start of the silage season, we're very busy with the machinery, that he'd take all the fuel filters off his tractors and stick a screwdriver through them and then put them back on the tractor. And he said that way they'd never block up during the busy period and never cause him any trouble.
No, Phil, I wanted handy hints that people can use at home. Cheers to us. Thank you, dear listener, for listening to 100 episodes. I think we should clink our glasses and have a slurp of vintage champers. It's not Carver this time, Rich.
Oh. Cheers, everybody.
Cheers.
Cheers. Good health. Cheers to the listener, too.
Here's to the next 100, eh?
Good health.
Rich, what have you got to
It's a
say
nice-
about the last
nice one.
100 episodes?
Well,
Quickly.
I've got to say, I've had a ball. It's really good. I've thoroughly enjoyed myself. I think it's good on loads of different levels. It's good to be able to convey our deepest thoughts and our little pearls of wisdom to the listener in the darkest depths of New Zealand or on the tube in our big smoke. I think it's a bit of thrill, and I reckon we've got a lot more mileage yet, haven't we?
I think we got another 100 in us.
I reckon.
Phil, you can take the paper bag off your head now.
Oh, you noticed.
No, don't do that, Paul.
Farmer Phil, your thoughts on farming podcasting?
I think it's great. What I love about it is the diversity of the things we get to talk about, so that we can be silly 1 minute and tragic the next, informative, we get to meet interesting people. I think it's just fabulous. And when I was just thinking back then, as a podcast team, we went tobogganing, didn't we, in the snow, up on the bank.
That seems like a long time ago.
And it
doesn't
seems
that?
like ages ago, doesn't it? And here we are, everything that's gone in between. And we've had all sorts of different people come to see us, and we've gone out and I just think the diversity of it is fantastic.
Yeah.
Let's move over and let somebody who's normally silent have a quick word about what he thinks. Michael, our dear producer and podcast editor and recorder and technical genius, what do you think?
Oh, if only people could hear what it was like before we edited it all down. But to the listeners, thank you so much for all the nice things you said about it on the iTunes. That really does, as Heather says, that really does tickle us pink, and we're pleased as punch that you enjoy the show, and please listen in for the next 100.
What a fantastic 100th show. Whew, that'll take some editing. I love chocolate. I can't believe the end of Milka is here, but it's going to take a bit of getting over, so we'll actually define the rating on show 101. I do hope you keep tuning in. We'll be back to normal next week. Bye from me.
Bye from me, Farmer Phil.
Bye from me.
And it's bye from me.
Idiots. How can you do that?
How can you do that? Wait, you're missing out to yours truly. How could we do that? Well, it's simple. Milka is gopping.
Richard and Derby scored it higher than you.
Oh, would you believe it?
Oh, it's a nightmare.
The educated palate.
And to be frank, Heather said when eating it...
Toast is eating all the chocolate. Toast is eating all the chocolate.